Alright, so now let's go ahead and add some of these shapes to our scene. So I just pull this over. Alright, let's start with this one. So I'm just going to take that layer and just kind of drag it on top. What I'm going to do is lock transparent pixels. I'll scale this down just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint with white on this. Alright, so I'll take that and I'll just change this to like a overlay blend mode, something like that. It's looking pretty cool. And then I can duplicate this, make that a little bit more intense. I'll take both of these and just merge these layers together. Let's turn this back onto overlay. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this transform and maybe I could just skew this into place. So maybe this wants to kind of align with this eye over here. You know, sort of the same perspective. That looks cool. I'll take this, duplicate it, and maybe this one wants to kind of align with a different letter, like this N or something. There we go. Maybe this one wants to be just a little bit smaller. Alright, and then maybe, again, I'll duplicate this. Maybe I'll flip it 180 degrees. And again, we'll sort of align it with this eye right here. I'm just making it a little bit smaller. And then I can rotate this into place as well. And maybe, let's see how that looks. That's looking pretty good. So now I'll take another shape. What about this one? I'll take that one and drop it onto here. And again, this is a little bit too big, so I'm just going to scale this down. And I'm going to lock transparent pixels again, hit B on the keyboard, and paint this with white. And I'll put this on an overlay blend mode. And maybe this one can come down here, over this P or something, or maybe over this I. Who knows, whatever looks good. That's kind of cool. And I'll just scale this in a little bit. Alright, looking good. Alright, what else do we have here? Let's explore some of these other shapes. Dots are kind of cool. Grab these, drag them over, and again, let's lock our transparent pixels. B. I'm going to take this, put it on overlay blend mode. Actually, maybe I could just leave that in normal blend mode, and maybe I could choose a color from in here and paint these the same color. Give us a little bit more variation here, and I'll just drag this on the bottom of this layer stack so it looks like it's sort of in the background. And maybe I'll just take this, hold on Option, duplicate it, and just scale it down so there's more back here. It's looking pretty nice, and maybe we want to take this and put it down here as well. Alright, anything else we want to play with? Let's go ahead and take this one, drag it onto our scene. Maybe this one can go in the same way as these little elements up here. So take that and just kind of rotate it down, and maybe this can go all the way under here. There we go. It's pretty nice. Put that on a multiply blend mode. Maybe I could duplicate this, make it a little bit darker. Maybe I'll take both of these, merge these together. And then maybe I could duplicate this again and just sort of mirror it down or rotate it down. Something like that. Looking kind of cool. Maybe I could take the color of this one and change that. So just, there we go. I think this probably needs to be a little bit smaller. Alright, let's see what happens if we put that on overlay blend mode. Oops, nothing. Gets lost. So I'll just turn down the opacity of this one. Maybe this can come all the way back here. So I think that covers all the shapes. So maybe now we want to add some skies to this, or some clouds to this. I'm going to take all of these shape layers. I'm just going to put them inside a group called the shapes, kind of keep our layer stack a little bit organized. Put this underneath our cell layers. So right now I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. Hit D on the keyboard, hit G, and fill it with black. So what I'm going to do is go up to Filter, render clouds. Alright, then I'll change this to an overlay blend mode and maybe bring that down. Actually, before I bring it down, I'm going to go to image, adjustments, hue saturation, colorize, and then I'm going to change the color of these clouds to something a little bit more yellow. Let's rename this to clouds, and then I'll add a layer mask, hit B on the keyboard, and maybe just mask these out just a little bit. Maybe we don't need as many clouds here, just kind of around these letters. Add a little bit more interest to the scene. Okay, that's looking pretty good. You know, maybe we can bring down the opacity just a little bit. And let's go ahead and put the final touches on this. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about this atmosphere from the 3D render. It looks a little bit overbearing. If we turn down the opacity of this, let's turn that off for a second. I think I'm going to try to create my own lights on here. So let's create a new layer, call this Lights 1, and let's pick some sort of yellow color from in here. Hit B on the keyboard with a nice soft edge, and let's paint in our own lights. So on this first one, we could put this to an overlay blend mode, or maybe let's try a different blend mode. Lighten. We could bring that down a little bit, and let's see the difference between this and this. I think I like this a little bit better. We can also play with some of these other blending modes. Soft lights. That's way too much. Let's go ahead and leave it on lighten and just bring the opacity down. Let's just hit B on the keyboard and paint in the rest of these lights with a really soft brush. So now we're going to do the final touches on this. Maybe we want to play with some curves. So let's go down here and add a curves adjustment. And if we go into red, let's see what happens if we bring this red up a little bit. That's kind of nice. So if we toggle that on and off, that's a pretty nice look right there. And what if we go into our blue channel, and if we give this whole thing like a little blue lift in the shadows, that's looking really nice. So maybe that's a little bit too much right here. Let's go back into the reds. There we go. We can go into our RGB. And let's see what happens when we play with these curves over here. Maybe bring the midtones down just a little bit. And start playing with these a little bit. And maybe it needs a little bit more contrast. Ooh, way too much. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So the final thing that we would do now, once you have everything created and you have it exactly looking like you want it, the final thing to do to turn this thing in is let's go ahead and duplicate it. So image duplicate, and then we'll flatten the whole thing. And let's go mode. You can change this to 8-bit mode, and then save out your file.